Hello, boys and girls. We are going to take a tour through the FAST online testing system. So you will first go to flfast.org, or your teacher might already have it pulled up for you. And then you're going to click on this picture right here that says Florida Assessment of Student Thinking FAST. Then we're going to click on Students and Families. And then we're going to come down here to take a sample test for grades 3 through 10. Once you are there, this is our practice testing site. We're going to leave it on guest user and guest session, so we don't need to change anything. Click sign in on the bottom. You're going to then come up here and select your grade, 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever grade you are in. I'm going to choose 5th grade. Once I choose 5th grade, then I have all of the different tests that I could practice. Today we are going to use reading as our example, so I click on reading. This is where I could adjust some of the settings like the background or the font size, but I'm going to leave all of that alone because I don't need to change anything to be successful today. So I'm going to click select at the bottom. Tells me that I could go back and check my settings. I could look at the help guide, which would tell me how to use the tools that I'm going to talk to you about, but I'm going to begin test now. So when I open up my test, this is how it's going to look for the real test, but this is a practice. You have your reading passage on the left-hand side, and you have your questions on the right-hand side. Up at the top, you have a back button, you have a next button, you have a save button, you have a pause button. The save and the pause buttons you do not need to worry about and do not click unless your teacher has instructed you to do so. On the top right-hand side, we have 4 buttons: a notes button, a line reader button, a zoom out button, and a zoom in button. We will talk about each of those in just a minute. So, our passage on the left-hand side. Here it is. It goes all the way down, but it's kind of squished and all shoved together. So I'm going to come up here to these 2 arrows, and when I click the right arrow, it expands my screen, and now I can read the passage a little bit more easily because it is expanded out. So I can read through my passage, take time to read every line carefully, and do my best to read everything. Here are some tips to help you focus on your reading if you want to use these tools. The line reader tool up here on the top right, I can click on it, and it highlights the line for me so I can focus my eyes. I can use my arrow to click each line, or on my keyboard, I can use the down and up arrows to move up and down to each line. How do I get rid of it? I come back here to line reader. Once you're done reading the passage, click the left arrow. It squishes back down to the left-hand side, and now I can start looking at my questions. My questions are going to be different question types that you've probably seen already this year. This first example is just a regular multiple choice question. How does the author develop the purpose of passage 1? I would read through my choices and pick the one that I think is the best answer. Then I can go to number 2. There's 2 different ways. I can just click on number 2 and it would take me to question 2, or I can come up here to the next arrow, click, and it will take me to question number 2. Same type of question, regular multiple choice, read the sentence. How does the term pinch and lump support the claim that recipes rely on attention to detail? And I choose the answer that I think is best, and I go to my next question, number 3. Number 3 is a multi-select question. It wants me to select 2 sentences that are important. So I'm going to choose these 2 sentences and go on to question 4. Question 4 also is multi-select, 2. Now I want you to notice I have green check marks up here for each question that I've answered. This question wants me to select 2 answers. I'm going to select 1. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't read these directions carefully, and I only chose 1. When I go to question 5, question 4 did not get the green check mark. Why? Because I only picked 1 answer and I need 2. So now when I pick a second answer, there's my green check mark and I know I've done it correctly. Next question, multiple choice. Question 6, multiple choice. And again, I'm just choosing answers, but you're going to take your time and read carefully and choose the best answer for each question. So now I'm on question 8, and this is a chart that I need to fill in. So from passage 1 and passage 2, I have some details. The question wants me to choose, is this detail found in passage 1, passage 2, or both passages? So I will choose which one I think is correct. Now notice I can only pick one answer for each detail. So if I change this to passage 2, passage 1 goes away. Same down here. I can only pick one answer for each detail. So now that I am done with these questions, I'm ready to go on to the next passage. So I can click Next up here. It loads and brings up my next passage set. Same thing. Click the arrow, read my passage. I can condense it down again. Question 9, choose my answer. Question 10, I need 2 answers. Question 11, and again, I'm going quickly, but you are reading carefully and doing your best to prove how much you know. And question 15, here's a part A, part B question that you've seen in the past, I'm sure. What is a theme in the passage? And now I need to prove it from the text. What text evidence proves that? All right, now I'm ready to go to the next. I have all green check marks, including the one that I just answered, so I'm ready to go to my next passage. This is the last item in the test. So for my practice test, this was all I had to do. When I finished, I click OK, and it told me in that box to end test. I'm not going to do that though. I'm going to wait. Now that I know I'm all done, I'm going to raise my hand for my teacher to come over and check to make sure I have everything done that needs to be done, so they can tell me if it's time to end and submit my test. I will not do that without my teacher's instruction. A couple things that we did not talk about. The notes button, you really don't need to know about or use a whole lot. It brings up a notepad where you could take notes, but at this point, you guys probably do not need that tool so much. The zoom in and zoom out buttons make the screen larger or smaller. Again, probably not something you need to worry about unless your teacher has talked to you about that. Last thing. If you are someone who has questions and answers read to you during your weekly test, you have that accommodation. This is where you're going to go during the test to hear the question and the answer choices read to you. You will click on this 3-line, we call it a hamburger menu, and click down, and there will be several options. One of the options will be for the question to be read to you. And you can click that. The question and answer choices will be read, and you can continue on. Make sure you're using that resource wisely so that you can be successful. If you have any other questions, your teacher is going to walk through those with you hopefully now. And I hope this helps you understand some of the things that the FAST test includes and that you can be super successful. You're going to do great.